Now, as some of you might have heard, a Palestinian militant group, Hamas, launched a multi-front attack on Israel from Gaza. They fired rockets, sent in some armed fighters, they killed civilians and took others hostages. And in response, the Israeli Prime Minister declared they were at war and launched airstrikes at Gaza. And ever since then, the health ministry from Palestine said that 313 Palestinians were killed by retaliation, as Israel has reported that they have at least 600 who have been killed by the attack by Hamas. And when you look at that, it's a really bad number. Is a lot more, a little over twice the amount of Palestinians who died. But we're going to take a look at this. This is from Frogan. And we're going to be getting into this first part at some point. But here we have this. So for those of you who don't know, Israel basically has an apartheid over Palestine. Like, they basically run the place, and if you've, seen them in the news at all, there has been there's been, I wouldn't say there's been a lot of coverage. There's been quite a bit of coverage when it comes to Israel's occupation in Palestine, where they are basically just slaughtering them, or just like brutalizing them any chance they get. And when you look at this chart, the number of, people like Israeli deaths and the amount of Palestinian deaths, it's a large amount, huge. So, and this was kind of in response to a lot of people who were coming out to support Israel, which actually brings us to this first part, where Frogan tweets out, "Leftists preach and foam at the mouth at the thought of a revolution happening in America, but as soon as it happens in the Middle East, what they're doing is wrong." And that's very true. Like, this is a force, this is a group that is rising up against a basically tyrannical government that has been slaughtering their people for years and years and years. And she's not naming anyone by name, because there's a bunch of leftists who do agree with this. One, for instance, is Destiny, and if you can't follow this, I don't know what to tell you, because he's just saying that, Palestinians are the same as Nazis from Nazi Germany. Because we all know, right? We all know how in Nazi Germany, the Jews were actually, controlling and, just eradicating Germans, left and right, just, opposing their will upon them. Oh, that's not actually what happened? And then, that's not actually what happened, and it's actually really insensitive to compare the two? Yeah. Yeah, it's the same, though, guys. This is the exact same. Jesus Christ. But I also wouldn't take it, I also, would also expect this from someone who's really just kind of using this for brownie points too. Do you think he'll keep the same energy when Israel counterattacks? Remember, something to remember, violence begets violence. Obviously Hassan, I think this is just kind of him saying that. I don't know what the response to this was. But basically, he's saying that, if Israel is attacking Pakistan, obviously they're going to fight back. But for some reason, Destiny thinks he also wouldn't, that means he's against Pakistan, I don't know what he's obviously just trying to get, fucking internet points for saying, Hassan bad. And there's just so much, dumb shit in here. I mean, I wouldn't fucking, guess any less from Destiny. And we have this from Hassan, who actually is, talking big facts when it comes to this whole situation. Israel is not a natural disaster. They are a violent settler colonial apartheid state. Please stop acting like the never-ending violent state that only seems to increase its cruelty and never goes in the direction of peace is simply happening because of Hamas today. It's ridiculous. Israel itself played a role in lending power to Hamas as a counterbalance to socialist orgs. Saying Hamas fucked over the people is forgetting that the occupying state is not simply a non-human killing machine that simply reacts to Hamas violence. It's not. Even with Hamas, if Hamas wasn't there, they would still be killing people. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't. Remember, Palestinians have no control over their supplies, water, or electricity. Their peaceful coexistence project in the West Bank has led to a tremendous amount of bloodshed and displacement. When you are backed into a corner with all your socialist revolutionists purged, with no allies in foreign nations, the Palestinian people have no one other than a violent Muslim Brotherhood cut out fundamentalist org that will be seen as liberators. So even then, he's not even like supporting, like some of the fundamentalist organizations that like Hamas in a way. But he is saying like, what do you expect? Like, they don't have anything else. Like, we have cut them off. Like, and I would say we, like, because the U.S. funds, Israel. Like, they give us tons of support to Israel. And we kind of help them and the U.S. very much helps them put Pakistan in helps them put Palestine in a box to where they can't get any outside resources. So they have to just turn to whatever they can. They're desperate. And they should be desperate because they're in a fucked up situation. And we also, not just Destiny is showing support to a disgusting degree, we also have Ukraine, for some reason, showing support to Israel, despite that, I don't really want to get into the article, but we're just getting into this. Ukraine's support of Israel amid tensions with Palestine raises concerns with West hypocrisy. Like, it's just so fucking weird. Like, Ukrainian President Zelensky vocalized support for Israel over Palestine on Saturday, raising concerns about the West's hypocrisy and its response to the two conflicts. It's so fucking weird. And here's the thing, I don't think we shouldn't be helping Ukraine. But at the same time, it's so weird to be like, oh no, we fighting against, this very big corrupt force. We're the good guys, but when they do it, because they're brown, they're bad. Gal Gadot also shows support. There's been Palestine protests and also counter-protests as well from people who support Israel. It's a really, really big mess. And it's a very recent development, so I don't know how much we're going to get into it. We already covered the most recent news regarding it. Obviously, I'm pro-Palestine. I'm pro-Palestine in this. I think Israel should not have their apartheid state in Palestine at all. They should be liberated there. But I don't know. They don't have any outside resources. We're not it's not like we can help out because we're supporting their oppressors. And a lot of the protests are basically about the U.S. should withdraw support from Israel. But it's such a divide in this country already, like we have with Destiny and other people. There's a reason why there were counter protests, because people are passionate on both sides. And it's just disgusting. Obviously, and here's the thing. Again, I don't condone but it's so marginally different. I don't support murder, regardless of what side it is, but when it's so proportionally different like this, I'm gonna give some leeway to one side over the other. When it's so proportionally different, it's just disgusting how people are willingly being no, I want this apartheid state that just murders innocent civilians. Hello everyone, this is Editing Fruity here, and this is something that I also should have talked about, but I hadn't honestly heard about it until I was already done, recording this video. But apparently Israeli fighter jets destroyed an 11-story building in downtown Gaza City, the second biggest building in Gaza, after warning the residents to evacuate. And this just really goes to show how disgusting the Israeli government's response to this is. And then here's the thing: if you're saying, "Oh well, this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Hamas. If Hamas didn't commit their attacks, this wouldn't have happened." You got a point. Here's the thing: you do have a point, but not for the reasons you think you do. This isn't a justified attack. They have been waiting to do this, more than likely. They have been waiting to do something like this, because this is just a continuation of their sort of violence onto Palestine. They're just using Hamas's attack to justify it. They don't care. Like, they know that if they did this before the Hamas attack, this would 1,000%, like, I don't even think it would have, in all honesty, I don't think it would have been a big difference, let's be honest. I feel like the people who are supporting Israel would more than likely have still been supporting Israel, even if this wasn't after a Hamas attack. To me, this just doesn't matter. But it just continues Israel's grasp over Palestine, and how they are just able to do whatever they want to these people. And yes, they did warn them to evacuate beforehand, but they have nowhere else to go. You just destroyed their residence for no reason. And not only that, people are still going to get hurt in this. There's no way people aren't going to get hurt in some way or form from this. Like, this left a very big smoke cloud out there. This isn't just on damage people's only, but they could get hit by debris. They could get hit by missiles too. Like, maybe there was a stray missile someone didn't aim right. Like, this is still very reckless behavior. There's no justifying this, even with the Hamas attack. This is just completely disgusting.